and you can walk the beach to Panama. And one day I'm going to try. Oh, and in the early morning marketplace, pigs are squealing for their lives. You can buy dasheen and Christophine. You can buy any kind of spice. And all the women speak some English, and I use my Spanish on the side, and they sell me dreams from Panama for a very special price. But tell me, why do these dreams of children become regrets in later life? And how do the soul survivors keep surviving, surviving, survive? That's it.
I like it. Takes me away. Away to Panama.
Hopefully to Panama. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm curious, I'd love to hear that as the musical version as well.
Maybe sometime when we're all together.
Live again, yeah, in person.
Right.
That would be nice. Thank you, David. I do want to say that there was a bit of a technical difficulty, so we actually weren't live until halfway through your poem, Dave. So for our audience watching out there, and of course for our poets who already presented, Nathan and Raven, if you guys would like to recite your poem again, I would love to hear it, and that way our audience on Facebook can also hear your poems. And we also have, looks like, is that Thomas that just joined us?
I'm fine with reciting mine again.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you, Raven.
Same here.
Yeah, I just want to say I believe we are live now, finally, and I apologize for the late start. I thought we were live, but now we actually are. So welcome to September Rhyme and Lime. I want to apologize because have been going all day and all week, so I'm a little bit tired myself, and I have a very short poem to read this evening too, and it looks like we have a very small handful of poets this month as well, so it's going to be a short rhyme and lime anyway, so we can fit that into this last half hour. And again, apologize for starting late to those of you who are watching or trying to watch from 7 o'clock. But this evening we have great poets and wonderful poetry, which they're going to recite again now that we're live, and I am lucky to hear it a second time around to really enjoy it thoroughly. So please welcome the lovely Raven Phillips and her poem this evening.
Okay, I don't mind doing this the second time. Let's hope. I'll do so with the hope that my cat will not come and interrupt me. He looks like he just might try to come and interrupt me.
Okay.
But same story that I told before.
And Raven,
when I
just so you know, Raven, we can see your picture, but we can't see your live video when you speak for some reason.
Sorry.
You are.
Better?
That's
okay.
Better. Yeah, and for some reason your picture is still actually right in the middle of your video, so we can. Your picture is kind of blocking your face. I don't know why it's up, but it's okay. There we go. Okay, you're on.
Okay, so with this poem, when I originally wrote it, it was maybe around the start of the pandemic, and I showed it to a friend because I didn't know what to name it. And I said that whatever her first impression was, that's the title I was going to go with. And she told me, Raven, this poem sounds like a cry for help. So the name of the poem is This Is a Cry for Help. It's on my phone, though, so if I might have, when I click over, you might not be able to see me, but you should be able to hear me just fine.
Okay.
Okay. If a tree falls in a forest, how long till you realize it's gone? In a sea of trees, will you see the missing piece? Will you wonder why it fell in the first place? Could you face the fact that falling was inevitable? That the eventual crash was forecast, but you didn't notice? It's amazing what nature can show us when we're focused. Look at the rotted roots and loose leaves. The broken branches of this tree were so clear. I don't know how you didn't hear it coming. Something about this leaning trunk trying so desperately to feel the sun is unsettling. It casts menacing shadows that swallow what light the plant needs to grow, so it dries like a dream deferred, and you show no concern till it explodes. When trees fall in forests, we wonder who will hear. But if you listen closely and truly see the tree and its flaws, you could save it before it starts to fall. Thank you.
Thanks again, Raven. And is that poem, is it, you said it's at the beginning of the pandemic. Is it inspired by the pandemic specifically, or?
Honestly, I'm not quite sure what inspired it. All I know is that it was very early on in the pandemic. I'm not sure if all the pandemic anxiety had hit me just yet, but I couldn't sleep one night and I just kind of wrote. That's typically how my poems goes. Like I can't sleep for some reason, and then I just kind of sit and write, and that's what I came up with.
Yeah.
It was a kind of spontaneous thing, so that's kind of why I didn't have a title for it.
Well, thank you. It's beautiful, and I connect to it for sure. So
Thank you.
thanks again. Hopefully we'll see you again next month. I always love you joining us and have our more female poets on here. Thanks. All right. It looks like Killarney's joining us. Nathan, are you comfortable with reciting your poem again for the live audience?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and I'll just check real quick with Bethaney. Are you on a time constraint, or is it okay if you hold
no,
off?
I can hold off until after, not a problem.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, so as many of you who have been watching Rhyme and Lime the past few months know, Nathan is one of our regular poets, and always a pleasure to have him join us, and always great to see his really kind of diverse poems and perspectives. So please welcome Nathan Visel.
Hi, Jamaica, everybody at home. Thanks for having me. Let me just pull this up again. Yeah, this is just really an anecdote that was shared with me years ago by a friend. It's now, it's still relevant and topical, which is kind of infuriating. So a short, angry piece. It's called Contraband. I once had a girlfriend pulled aside in the airport for having rocks in her luggage. See, she never travels without her crystals and prism. And I laughed at her new wave optimism until she explained that everyone in that line was darker than me. So I began to see that while her passport was blue, her eyes were not. And maybe it was just chance, but the lot of folks in that random screening line were wearing slightly strange attire, with faces not the same as mine. What broke my heart the loudest was her sigh, that she had to yet again explain this to another white guy, that this is just what she's learned to abide. You can either lose your shit or suck it up and muster pride. She dumped her rocks in Thailand, rather than be pulled out again, along with the Saudis' fly whisk and the Nigerians' cot, but her skin still had to be her carry-on. Her only cultural artifact, her almond-shaped eyes, and then, ma'am, could you please step over to this line? I smile for her and burn the world down in my mind. That's it.
That's a very powerful poem and so clear, like, and sad, but very relevant. And I think the more aware you are, the more you see things like that, and you realize how much racism still exists and globally, and hopefully that will change, and we can help make it change as much as we can individually and collectively. So thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
All right, and I just want to welcome those who just joined us in the past few minutes. So it looks like Killarney, you joined us, and Thomas, and is it Deidre? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. But up next, we will have Bethaney Lee. Bethany is joining us for the first time, joining the Rhyme and Lime for the first time. And I actually had seen one of her poems on Facebook that she posted, and somebody had given me a ping saying, Jamaica, it would be great to have her recite the poem at the Rhyme and Lime. And when I read it, I said, absolutely, it's such a great poem. So Bethany, thank you for joining us this evening. And Bethany does not have video, but this way we can all tune into the words of her poem even more, just listening. So please welcome Bethany.
I really appreciate the invite. My poem that I'm going to be sharing tonight is going to be called Grocery Store. And it's actually part of kind of a collection of poetry I've been doing, meant to capture and honor really mundane lives of everyday people. So just through observation. So I'll go ahead and begin. I watched her cry in the grocery store looking at the milk. She stood in between the freezer aisle and the canned goods with tears that plummeted to the bleached linoleum. Her left hand trembled, causing a faint crackle from a loaf of bread she held. White packaged bread, void of major labels or nutritional value, and like the floor, was bleached and cheap. She must have been used to being unnoticed because her salt-stained cheeks were on display for anyone to witness, but a man grabbing Swiss cheese to pair with his sliced deli ham said nothing. A child fetching vanilla yogurt for his nagging mother said nothing. A store employee stocking shelves just beside the woman said nothing, their emotions sanitized and their thoughts disinfected of her plight. I followed her after her outstretched arm grasped the milk jug's handle. She was strong enough to hold the gallon, but didn't bother swiping the tears puddling at her chin. She sauntered to my favorite section in the small market, where the smell of rye mixes with pungent sourdough, and gingerly she placed her loaf of bread back onto the shelf, careful not to disturb the other loaves. I apologize, my phone. Her loaf was tucked ever so carefully, as it had never been removed, never held in her hand, never almost purchased, never wanted so badly, never looked at so desperately, never needed so earnestly. And honestly, I too wanted to cry when I watched what happened next. The woman put her milk onto the conveyor belt, and right before the clerk began to scan it, he paused. A child no more than 10 tugged on the woman's dress, asking for a bar of chocolate, with the same kind of longing that she had for that loaf, her loaf. She scooped him up and told the clerk she wouldn't be needing the milk, but traded it for a chocolate bar for her son that watched as I watched when the woman pulled pennies from her pocket to pay. I watched a woman today who had to make a choice between milk or bread, and when pressed, she chose joy.
I love that poem so much. And when I first read it, it brought tears to my eyes, and it brought tears to my eyes again tonight. So thank you. Yeah, it's such a heartfelt and sad poem, but then it ends with that joy, and so it makes you laugh and or cry and smile. But yeah, thank you. I love that poem.
Thank you for inviting me to share.
I
appreciate
encourage anyone. Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight, and I hope you can join us again in the future, every last Saturday of the month at 7 o'clock.
I will be.
Yeah, and I definitely encourage you to read the poem too. Is great to see it in writing. So thank you for sharing that online so that I could invite you tonight. All right. David Knight, I want to give you the opportunity to recite your poem again because the audience online only got to hear the last half of it. If you're willing to recite it once more for us.
Yeah, sure, if we have time. It's a little long, but
Yeah, we have time.
okay. Again, these are song lyrics, not just a poem, so the cadence might be a little off poetically because it includes refrains and choruses and so on, but I've always liked these lyrics. It's part of my life. It's an old song I wrote many years ago when I was spending a lot of time in Latin America. The name of this poem is Dreams of Panama, and it has a subtitle, How Nady and Gravenstein Met Marlowe. Waves are crashing on this jungle coast. There's salt mist in the air. There are Indians in the mountains here, and I've got tangles in my hair. And I don't know what keeps me here in this place where rivers end, where you can walk the beach to Panama on burning dark sea sand. When there's moonlight on the tin rooftops, but I'm still dying of the heat. Pretty ladies all in tatty dress, packs of dogs out in the street. I could blow this place for Canada, freeze these bugs right out of me, or I could walk the beach to Panama just by following the sea. For I am just a drifter who's come far across the sea, blown in like a flotsam on a storm. I don't know why it's happening, but sometimes when I'm asleep, I just open up my eyes because I can hear Panama calling me. Now Nady sings a simple song. She sings it with her eyes. Her daddy taught her long ago. She's from an old and a noble tribe. Yet she claims that she's got nothing here. It's a place that time passed by. She wants to walk the beach to Panama, and one day we're going to try. And out in the land, a tin pan band, you know, they're livening up the streets. Bats at night and snakes that bite. I was drawn here by my destiny. Little children, they're all dancing round while old men lay fast asleep. They're all dreaming dreams of Panama, of ladies and the sea. And all those ladies of the evening and the beggar boys reside down these dusty streets of Manzanillo, where the land and the sea collide, where the air can smell like perfume or like dead fish at low tide, and you can walk the beach to Panama, and one day I'm going to try. Oh, and in the early morning marketplace, pigs are squealing for their lives. You can buy dasheen and Christophine. You can buy any kind of spice. All the women speak some English, and I use my Spanish on the side. They sell me dreams of Panama for a very special price. But tell me, why did dreams of children become regrets in later life? And how do the soul survivors keep surviving, just surviving? Thank you.
Thanks again, David. Great to hear it a second time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've never been to Panama, but I was born in Guatemala and traveled around Central America when I was very young. But I'll have to visit. It's on my bucket list.
Talk to Junior about it. He spent some time there as well.
Yeah, we've had some interesting conversations about that.
All right.
Thanks again. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Jamaica. You too.
And up next, hi, Thomas, and I'm going to unmute you, Thomas.
All righty. Yeah, I'm here with Deidre Humphreys Barker and her husband, Michael.
Okay,
And Michael has an original poem.
wonderful.
And Deidre has one. So can I read one and two others read one?
Absolutely. Yes, thanks for joining us.
Jamaica. We're doing this in the middle of a rainstorm and dinner up here in northern Michigan. So we'd like to be with you in more ways than spirit. I want you to know that. This is a poem about an old neighbor of mine in Ireland who's in his middle 80s now. And he lives alone and has done all his life ever since his parents died decades ago. And so this is called Himself. He'll have been the last of his kind here then. The flagstones, dry stone walls, the slumping thatch, outoffices and cow cabins, the patch of haggard he sowed spuds and onions in, all of it a century out of fashion, all giving way to the quiet rising damp of hush and vacancy once he is gone. Those long contemplations at the fire, cats curling at the door, the dogs lame waltzing, the kettle, the candle, and the lamp, all still, all quenched, all darkened, the votives and rosaries and novenas, the Pope and Kennedy and Sacred Heart, the bucket, the basket, the latch and lock, the tractor that took him into town and back for the pension check and messages and pub, the chair, the bedstead, and the chamber pot. Everything will amount to nothing much. Everything will slowly disappear, and some grand niece, a sister's daughter's daughter, one blue August in 10 or 15 years, will marry well and will inherit it. The cottage ruins, the brown abandoned land, will come to see it in a hired car. The kindly Liverpudlian she's wed in concert with a local auctioneer will post a sign to offer site for sale. The acres that he labored in will merge with a neighbor's growing pasturage, and all the decades of him will begin to blur, easing as the far fields of his holding did up the hill, over the cliff, into the sea. So I'd like to introduce now Michael Barker, who has a poem. I think is it an elegy or eulogy or whatever it is? Give him a dose of it, Mike.
Okay, and welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining us here at Rhyme and Lime. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. This poem, I was in a thing called the Detroit Writers Cooperative in Detroit in the 70s. And this poem is about one of the writers, Steve Neal. It's called Across the Courtyard. A stifling type of mugginess hangs in the air and in my head. The mattress seems soggy with moistures. Sometimes I think it reeks with too many bodies that lay and sweat and sniff the air. Lying here on the mattress, sick of ceilings and walls, I wait for deliverance. It always comes about this time. I get depressed just for this moment. I become a low, so I can feel that deliverance even more shrilly. Across the courtyard, my deliverance stays. A black angel he is for me, a doomed and dying sound in a seething city. He's a junkie. We all are. He calls out, as we all do, but with a polished, gleaming sax, a shiny, magnificent beacon across the courtyard. Lying here, the sounds come softly, even lazily passes into my steamy room and surround me. I mount his sounds and ride above the mists and the stench, frustration, and anxiety. Then on a low blast, rushed down, obliterating them in one swift pass. Lying here, I notice his difference. Wide, long, curable, yet sweet. Rising from the bed, I pass through the mist. I see him now. Acknowledge his gift, better yet his life. He stands framed in his window. A gold appendage swings, sways, and tears the air in front of him. Others have now poked their heads from their hovels like prairie dogs. Some are even in the alley, swaying, smiling. The dead have awakened. They stare. They are dumbfounded. I strain harder to see him. Instead, I see the sacks plummet, turning slowly. Then a dull thud. He follows afterward and makes the same dull, thudding sound. The dead and near dead stare long at the blood and gleaming sacks, then return to their hovels. Lying here in the mist and stench, hating the ceiling, I hear sirens faintly in the distance.
Good on you, Michael. And
Thank you.
now I'd like to introduce Michael's partner and my pal, Deidre Humphreys Barker, with something that she'll read for us.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for your wonderful poem. And welcome, Deidre.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your group this evening. It's a really special time. We're up here with Tom on the lake, and it's getting dark and it's raining outside. I don't have I'm a more of a prose writer. I haven't written poetry since college, but I do have a poem tonight from Nikki Finney. And let me just give a little plug for my book that was published in February. It's Mother of Orphans, The True and Curious Story of Irish Alice. And it's a creative nonfiction kind of thing. And so if you see it at your bookstore, I'd appreciate it if you take a look. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I'll look it up for sure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm thinking we can look it up online and hopefully ship it down here to the Virgin Islands. So
yeah. Yeah. So this is called The Lyric Theater Lyceum of Dreams by Nikki Finley, and it's from her latest collection. And you know, she's like really hot right now. So I'm glad to be reading this. It's on the occasion of the reopening of the Lyric Theater, 1940s Black Dream House, Lexington, Kentucky. On the East End, we shine our own shoes, dress our own legs, smooth down willful hair, let all new trouble float, done up. We promenade and pass, do as you please. And third, where Wingfield and Murphy once hoofed and flew backwards, black-winged on horseback. Under the blazing marquee, we hand our shiny quarter over, glide toward, then across, our 8-point star, rose tile lit of regeneration. In the dark theater, the sock cod, sweat of work now left behind. Names hurled our way all day, now set aside. Paychecks that never match our labor, folded away now. House lights dim. Paul Robeson is Othello. Miss Ella strikes and swings. The Duke and Count jazz juice the night. Royalty speaks to royalty. The ink spots spill all over with Sarah Vaughan. Miss Mahalia orchestrates and moans and moonbeams. Candy Johnson and his peppermint sticks fill every inch of stage. Marian Anderson poses her hands in alto contralto, alto soprano. Woody Strode, our black cowboy, wild rides the open oak fields and range. Our dusty eyes drink in Bea Richards, Dorothy Dandridge, Lena Horne. Intermission at the Lyric. Lights up. Frida Jones tries on a brand new hat and no one is arrested. Bernard Lewis links his ice cream cone on every melting side. No one is booked for licking or loitering. Morgan and Marvin Smith, the famous picture-taking twins, take our picture too. At the Lyric, we pose, bright futures we portray. At the Lyric, we fall in love with our lips. Lucinda kisses Big Tank clear through the opening act. Julia can't see the show for looking at the ocean of their mouths, open and closed. We cry at the lyric, laugh out loud at the lyric, whisper, quiet. Here comes the principal. Miss Lucy Hart Smith proudly takes her seat. At the lyric, William Wells Brown pulls out his indelible pen to write us down. Isaac Scott Hathaway shapes our faces in a mustard amber clay on new money. We come to the lyric to rise, rejuvenate, see ourselves win, watch ourselves lifted up in lights, hit the home run, be hero champion of the world. Only to file back out live and alive, stroll back across the rays of the 8-pound star, rose tile light of return, sink back into the racetrack of the East End with everything we have now become. Sweet lyric, Lyceum of dreams, where once we came to rise into who mama, not dime store magazines, promised us we were. That's great, isn't it? Yeah. She's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
And sorry, can you say who's the poet who wrote that poem?
That's Nikki Finney.
Again?
Nikki Finney. And it's from her latest collection, Love Child's Hotbed of Occasional Poetry from Northwestern University Press. And that, I don't know if you can see it, but that's a picture of her. And she's quite celebrated now.
Okay.
Her last collection was Head Off and Split, and it was about her growing up. And she's from the South, I think. I did read her earlier, but I really like her a lot. So thank you for the opportunity to read her poem. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing and sharing her poetry and reciting it for us and introducing us. Sorry, what's that?
You've been awful good to the Michiganders, Jamaica. We send our very best greetings to all of
you. Well, it brings me joy to see you guys. I love it. Dinner of Poets. I love it. So thanks for bringing that and sharing that tonight with us. And you know, one of the things that
Bob's now. Yeah, we're gonna listen in though.
Okay, great. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And I think it's been a small group of poets tonight, so I think that is it for this evening, unless someone wants to read another. But you know, one thing that I love is that even though it was a small group of poets, and I still feel like I went on this journey, you know. So it went from, you know, tonight so far I've been in Panama and walking through the woods, and in an airport in the Middle East, and in a grocery store in St. Thomas, and in, you know, in the multiple different places. So it's been a great evening for me, and thank you guys for sharing your words and kind of journeys with everyone tonight. I have a small poem, as I usually always read at least one poem, and this one is very short and kind of matches my depleted energy this month, but I will share nonetheless. So my short poem called Stone. You are smooth and cold like a mountain river stone. My tears might as well be melted snow. My heart a frozen bone. Indifferent to my suffering, you watch me suffer all alone. I wish I could skip every cold piece of you like a mountain river stone. So that's my little poem this evening. So once again, thank you, our fellow poets, and for joining tonight. I really appreciate you coming, and I always appreciate your company and words. And again, for those of you watching this evening, I appreciate your patience for the first half hour when we thought we were live and we're not, and for watching this evening and your support as always. So I hope everyone has a good rest of the remaining rest of the month, and we'll see you again in October. And October will be our Rhyme and Lime's first anniversary of the founding of Rhyme and Lime. So I don't know, we'll have to make it even more special and do something to celebrate. So thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.